We will go ahead and begin. We were hoping we would have a few more folks, but we're glad to have Yakima and Pascal Sherman with us this afternoon. If some folks join us in a little bit, that would be fine as well. This webinar is also being taped so that we can have a podcast available for folks to either use at your individual schools or the other schools as they elect to join us. I would encourage you, and I think you folks have in fact indeed done that, to mute your phones, and then if you have comments or questions, to type them into the chat box so that as we proceed we can see questions emerging so that we can spend time working with you. The format's going to be to present some national research findings. We've got a speaker from Swinomish who's going to then talk a little bit about how they've played out in his school, and then we will open it up for you folks to share some of the challenges as well as best practices that you're using in your school. We'll be through this in a little over an hour and a half or less as we go, so I hope that's okay. I'm Steve Nelson. I'm the head of the BIE Alliance at Education Northwest, and that's a office, the second building from the right, that's in downtown Portland. So we don't look very rural there, but our hearts are with you. With me today is part of the BIE Alliance team, which is Phyllis, Diana, Margaret, and then our tech people, Mitch and Sarah, and our guest speaker, Dr. Tim Bruce. So we've got you outnumbered. Education Northwest was formerly called the Northwest Regional Educational Laboratory. We've been a private nonprofit serving the 5 Northwest states since 1966, and for the entire length of that time we've been committed to work in Indian country. We hold and have continued to hold all of those years the Federal Regional Educational Laboratory contract serving our 5 Northwest states, as you can see in the slide. But we're part of a 10 regional laboratory system that spans the nation as well as the Pacific jurisdictions. So we tend to share knowledge with each other and experiences as well as with our own region. So the contract this year with the U.S. Department of Education for the laboratory called for these odd things called research alliances, which are in essence consortia, or in other ways collections of organizations or stakeholders who all share specific educational concern or need and agree to work together to learn more about how they can use evidence to make sound decisions to address those educational needs. The Region 10 BIE Alliance, and apparently it may or may not still be called Region 10, it is for now. We do understand that you've got Casey's your new line officer from Albuquerque, and there may be some consolidation going on, but historically the old Portland area office and the new Seattle line office has always tended to work together around common needs. In this case, we're talking about specifically the 6 BIE high schools, the other Region 10 K-8 schools like Pascal Sherman, and then the affiliated staff in the line office, which hopefully still continues to be folks like Jamie. The 5-year overall goal of this alliance was to work on improving the transition of students to college and career. Last year we worked on both a combination of webinar and other information around strengthening dropout prevention strategies. This year we've then moved on towards looking at how do we better prepare students for post-secondary education, for college. the work of the Alliances sort of focuses into two clusters. One is a focus on what kind of research evidence can we bring from the outside to the schools that may prove to be of use and application in their own setting. So last year there was a webinar on the practice guide on dropout prevention, as well as additional information from the National Dropout Prevention Center's BIE initiative that we provided last August. And then this year it will be on a practice guide on preparing students for high school students for college, but it should prove of value to Pascal Sherman as well. The other thing, and Michael and Eileen, I encourage you to use our Ask a REL online free service, which any staff member can pose a question that's either, could be a research-based question, or it could just be kind of a best practice question, to the website, the URL you see up there, and you'll have a real live person on the other end who will help provide a fairly quick and tailored answer to that question. We feel very, very good about the quality and use of that service. And finally, later this year, we plan on providing some individualized technical assistance to schools by conducting a series of site visits to determine what specific issues schools are encountering that are impeding their ability to prepare, to keep students in school and prepare them for college and career, as well as what unique opportunities can they capitalize upon that we can provide some evidence that helps you bolster your case to do that. So as I said, the second half is around the improving local use of data. And one of the things we know about BIE schools is that they, in some ways, they're resource rich. There's lots of systems out there like NACIS and other initiatives that the national office is mounting. So our intent isn't to create a new layer, but help you better use existing layers. So one of the things we may want to talk a little bit this year is, what do we know about our own students' college going rate, how many go, what's their persistence level, and how ready were they when they got there, as well as what kind of information can we share about what seems to work and what hasn't worked. One of the things we worked on last year was how do we get the Albuquerque office to adapt the NACIS system to help us identify potential dropouts. And we laid out the framework for how they would do that. They've agreed to carry that out, but we're not sure what their timeline is. I imagine you folks understand that. So today we're going to be doing a presentation on the 5 recommendations that come out of the practice guide on helping students navigate the path to college. That's going to be discussed by Dr. Tim Bruce, who's the superintendent of the Connor School District, who has had some of the experiences with this, both in terms of helping participate in a Gates Foundation Antioch College early college readiness program for Native kids for about 5 years, as well as his current work with the Northwest or Skagit County Skills Center and some of the things they're doing in partnership with local colleges. The IES Practice Guide, I hope both of you have downloaded this so that you've got a full copy you can share with your staff. If you haven't, there's the URL for doing so. It provides a little more detail than what we're going through. Our challenge for today is to try to adapt these findings more specifically to small, rural, Native communities and schools. So a little bit about the What Works Clearinghouse. They develop a series of practice guides that take research-driven and research-driven information that they attempt to then translate into specific practices that can be employed in schools. They're arrayed on a wide range of evidence, ranging from very rigorous, which means randomized experiments, down to consensus of the expert opinion of researchers about what's pretty compelling evidence. One of the challenges for the BIE schools is that this is all national research, much of which it has occurred in large urban settings. So we'll always have to look at it a little askance of saying, but how does this relate to our small, rural, western, and native communities? And so it's our challenge to spend some time thinking about how would that translate to our own setting? If this recommendation is true, what would it look like in our school? And that's what we hope to talk about. So I'm now going to introduce Dr. Tim Bruce, who's going to be taking you through. We'll spend about 10 to 15 minutes on each of these recommendations. Once he's presented that, we encourage you not only to think about it, but we want to engage in a three-way conversation about what this all means and some of the things that you folks have tried, as well as issues that you've encountered that the rest of us can discuss and deal with. So you're all experts out there. You know your school better than we do. So let's see what we can get accomplished in the next several minutes. So Dr. Bruce.
Okay, so this is Tim Bruce, and what I'm going to do is we're going to test the system here fairly quickly and see how we're doing. I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself, and since there are only two of you, I'd love to know who I'm talking to on the other end. So if each one of you would tell me what you do for the school and a little bit about yourself. So for me, I was raised on the Coeur d'Alene Indian Reservation, so I'm a small town kid. Went to a small town school and my entire life, and of course now in LaConner I'm still dealing with small school, and that's just the way it is. That's what I love. So I've been in LaConner for 22 years as their school superintendent. And LaConner is a public school, but it's the only serving school in the home to the Swinomish tribe. So about a third to 40% of our students are Swinomish. And I just, I've loved every minute of being the superintendent there, and I continue to. When I did my graduate work at Gonzaga, I did that in student success strategies for Native American students. So with that, maybe if each one of you could log on, maybe we'll start with you, Eileen, and could you just tell me a little bit about yourself, and then we'll go to Michael.
Can you hear me?
Sure.
Okay, just checking. Well, I just started working here about 2.5 weeks ago, so you probably know my school more than I do. But I was born in another state, but I moved here at a really young age, and and this is actually my home tribe, so I've been here for a long, long time, and I've worked in the school systems for a number of years since I've been back from school. And currently I'm the school counselor for the Yakima Nation Tribal School, and so, like I said, I was just hired 2.5 weeks ago, but of course, as anybody who knows the school system, right when you get in there is when things start, so I've been through, I think, the whole shebang in the past 2.5 weeks, but I'm just looking forward to being here and just being here for a long time.
Okay. Okay, well, wonderful. So just back, you've been in Yakima for a very long time. My dad's adopted brother was an Isidore. So are there any Isidores around that you know?
Yeah, it's a common last name, yes.
Great, okay. All right, Michael, how about you?
Well, I'm a school counselor at Pascal Sherman Indian School. I've been here as a school counselor for the past 7 years. Prior to that, I taught 4th grade in Nespelam, which is a public school on the reservation, and I taught there for 14 years. before coming over here. I live in Omak, so I would travel about 100 miles a day back and forth to work when I worked in Nespelem, but now it's only a 15-minute drive. So
wow,
it's a lot closer.
A lot of great experience. Okay, thank you. Well, okay, so they've got us somewhat on a timetable here today, so I'm going to try and get back on track with that. I was here previously when we had a discussion about dropout prevention, and I learned an incredible amount from everybody who was online for that one. So that process is going to be about the same for this presentation as well. I'm here to lead the conversation and to share a little bit about what my district and my tribe are currently doing to prepare all our students for life beyond high school. But the real value for all of us who are online today is when we share our current practice and what we know, and also question a few things and what our wonderings are about how we can be better or be the best we can be for our students. So if we get into a conversation and we kind of run out of time, or we're told we have, I'm going to look to you, two of you to speak up if you're not quite done or you have another question, and we'll try and add back in a few more minutes for that. So with that, we're going to go on to the first recommendation that we're going to look at, and that slides up for you. And that recommendation is in our schools to offer courses and curricula that prepare students for college-level work and ensure that students understand what college-ready curriculum looks like by the 9th grade. And carrying out those recommendations, we've got 3 that come under that, and that's to implement a curriculum that prepares all students for college and includes opportunities for college-level work, ensures that students understand what is college-ready curriculum, and develop a 4-year course trajectory with each 9th grader that leads to fulfilling a college-ready curriculum. And next, if we go to our questions then, our discussion questions, we've got 2. So the questions that I want you to think about why I'm telling you a little bit about what my school has done, and then you can share what you know. And I know, Eileen, for you, you're going to share what you know, and I know you've lived around there a long time, so hopefully you've got quite a bit of knowledge about that. But our 2 questions are going to be, to what extent does your school offer a 4-year course of study that prepares students for college-level work? And what strategies are you using to help students understand by the 9th grade what it takes to be successful in college? So in any case, here's what we're doing in La Conner, and I'm not saying this because I think it's right. It's what we've done, and hopefully we'll learn together from one another today. So in La Conner, we're a small school district, and we don't have a lot of room for a tremendous amount of electives, so we basically assume that every one of our students will go on to some kind of 2- or 4-year or maybe a vocational technical college. So we make that assumption, and we try to build the courses around that. I think Steve told you before, we had a grant from the Gates Foundation and Antioch University where we developed dual credit courses, and those are in technology, math, English, and the arts. Our students have the opportunity, in fact, most of them do this without even knowing what they're doing usually. When we sign them up for a specific class, say an English writing class, that's dual credited, and then they're told that it is, and if they just do the specific work for the college credit, which sometimes means your paper is a little longer, maybe a little denser, that you not only gain high school credit, but you gain college credit. So the vast majority of our students now leave us at high school with about 45 college credits under their belt, which they quickly find out is about a year worth of college. So that kind of gives them a leg up, and we found that to be pretty successful. We're a district who's very heavy into AVID. We have been for years. We started that with a grant from College Spark, which if none of you have looked into College Spark, I would suggest you do. They're a wonderful granting institution in Seattle. They paid $50,000 to us to get us started with AVID, and then the Discern Foundation picked us up after that and carried us. We start in the 4th grade with AVID, and then it gets stronger in the 6th through 8th grade. and then we continue with some of the students on into high school. And I think a lot of our students, after they've had AVID for 3 or 4 years, they believe they got it in tow and they know what to do, and they choose to take themselves out, and then sometimes they choose to put themselves back in again. What we do for our families for strategies, we meet with each of our families meet with our high school counselor and plot what the student will be taking throughout their career. But we also are lucky enough that we identified a few years ago that we needed some extra push. So the Swinomish tribe provided us with a college readiness counselor. She's currently working on her master's at Seattle U, and so she's only with us 3 days a week instead of 5 this year. But her job is not only to help give an extra lift to our Swinomish students for the counseling and to be ready for going to college, but what we found was that a lot of our students, we get them into college, but then for a variety of reasons, they may not thrive once they get there, whether it be homesickness, or whether it just wasn't what they expected, or they don't have a strong linkage with anybody at college. So what her role is to get out there and go visit the students as they enter college, the first visitation within the first 6 weeks, find out how they're doing, what they need, what supports they might need from their community to truly make it a go, and so that they know that they're supported all the way. And I will say she's a lucky gal, because this next year we have our first student going to Stanford, and so she'll get a nice trip down into California. So that's kind of what we're doing. I'd love to hear what you're doing, or maybe what you're interested or wondering about. So whoever wants to go first.
I guess I will.
Thanks, Michael.
You're welcome. The college, what is it? College Spark that you were talking about?
College Spark.
College Spark. Sorry, I didn't hear that.
Oh, what is that exactly?
College Spark, I believe it would probably be the best descriptor. It's a foundation, and they do give out grants to increase college readiness and the likelihood of students going on to college. I think you could probably go online and just look for College Spark in maybe Washington, or College Spark Seattle, Washington.
Okay.
You might see some familiar names to you that sit on the board. That's what I saw, a couple people I knew right off the bat. And you could call them and just say, this is what I'd like to do, whether it's AVID or whether you've got a mentoring thing you want to do, and write up an application. And they like new applicants better than they like us old ones who try to come back for more money. So.
Okay. I guess some of the things that we do is our teachers work with universities. I know they work with WSU on some science projects, and I believe it's a University of Washington that comes and they do a writing project in the spring, and they bring that back into the classrooms. And I know that I myself, I have college students, the 8th graders, 7th and 8th graders, sign up for College Bound, and try to let them know that the funding is available for them, so they don't need to worry about that part of it.
So, Michael, tell me a little bit more about the writing project. What grade level, or what level is that for? Or?
It's for our 4th, 5th, and 6th graders, but they also spend a little bit of time with our 7th and 8th graders also. And they actually publish a couple of books. In fact, I just got 2 of them. They're probably about ½ an inch thick, and it's compiled of different areas around here, like students from different schools in the area, like Bridgeport, which is about 35 miles away, Brewster, which is about 30 miles away, and then about 5 or 6 schools in there that they work with, and they just put everything together and then publish it and send the book back to each school, so each school can see what the other schools did as well as their own kids.
And what university is that?
University of Washington. It's a pipeline project.
Pipeline.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Welcome.
So Eileen, how about you?
Well, just being here for the last few weeks, I just noticed there's a lot of support staff. There's a teacher that teaches senior transition, and there's also just not just a teacher, but also another staff member whose job is just senior transition as far as finding things after school. And also there's me as their guidance, the more of the guidance part, but I also kind of do the counseling as well. And there's also even another counselor on staff. He's part-time, but that's also used just to help. We're actually putting together something that helps more with, just like as you were saying, the reasons why maybe some students get to college but then maybe slip out of it for a number of reasons that maybe don't have so much to do with college, but maybe just, like I said, homesickness or whatever it is. But as far as just being here for the last few weeks also, I wanted to start, I know that they haven't had a school counselor here for a while, and so when I got here, things were just kind of needing to be set up. But I wanted to strengthen partnerships with we're lucky to have, just even though we're in a rural area, we have Heritage University 5 minutes away, YVC, Yakima Valley Community College is 15 minutes away, and Perry Tech's 15 minutes away, and a number of branches and extensions for the bigger four-year universities are also within a 15 to 20-minute drive of here. So we're working on that, and like I said, it's from my understanding there was a lot of vacancies, so it's kind of a new administration team, and so we all have goals that how we're going to go about making sure our team's strong, and also that we get our school back to where it needs to be also. And actually I kind of had a question too. As far as, just with this, as far as, I guess, some staff not being on board for a while here at the school, and students and with their current grade status and everything, as much as we're trying to, including myself, have them get to where they need to go and maybe shoot for their highest possible post-secondary goals and everything, how do you go about doing that without, at the same time, setting them up for failure, especially since a lot of staff have joined this school mid-year, so things are the way they are, and particularly for this group of outgoing seniors, I guess is my question. But
So the question is how to help them along but not set them up for failure, is that?
Yeah, there were a number of vacant positions, including the superintendent and principal too, as well as myself, that we were all hired within a month of each other this past, actually within the past 2 months, myself being in the last few weeks. But so, and we're just starting mid-year, so as you know, there's deadlines approaching and everything as far as, I know financial aid and things like that, but I was just wondering how to encourage students without being setting
So
up.
Eileen, how many seniors do you have?
Right now, about 15. We're a small school. Yes.
So that's a doable number. Have you had a chance to sit down with each one of them?
I've gotten through half so far. I haven't gotten through the other half yet, but I haven't scheduled for this Thursday and Friday.
Yeah, I think that's the way I would recommend going about it, is just that individualization at this point with each one, you know, and if you haven't done that about, what are their plans for after high school, which maybe you have already, I would just go back and probably really intensify that and go from there. And I think I would take it on an individual basis. And there may be some real commonalities and supports that you can give, or things that you got to know you got to get support for, and you get back with them maybe then as a group afterwards, or small groups to kind of put that all in place. I don't know. Michael, do you have any other suggestions for her? I think you're doing the right thing if you're doing it on an individual basis at this point.
Yeah, that sounds good. Our school is kind of smaller too, so the class size is really helpful with the teachers.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Eileen, I mean, when it comes to our, our tribal students, there's so many universities, most of them realize at times that, that perhaps the services have gone undone for a variety of reasons, or that there may be family issues, or maybe they're the first student to go to college in their family. So, it's never too late, let's put it that way. So if you discover that, I think you can kind of start opening doors just by telling the truth to the college they may want to go to, and usually I find them to be very helpful to speed the process along. So I think you're doing the right thing. Yeah.
Well, this Friday we have, I've scheduled a few tours. One of them is this Friday at Heritage, but since our class is so small, all of them are going. But we're hoping that has a positive outcome as far as kids wanting to. But also with that too are the schools in the area. Actually, particularly Heritage has a lot of Native support programs. And so we're hoping to also get them connected. I noticed earlier in the conversation it was suggested to have people from colleges kind of get to, whether it's through some kind of a project or something, working with the high school seniors now. But yeah, and I'm currently looking into what types of outreach the colleges in the area do. I'm just starting with local and a few colleges in particular if students are planning on leaving the Valley, but yeah. Yeah,
and I think that's a great way to go about it. I mean, we're kind of jumping ahead to what, we'll talk about later on, but I think whenever you can lean on those college counselor and career counselors that are out there, you can go to them, or they could come to you, for a parent night or to work with a small group of students or all of your seniors. And that could be all the way from funding to application, how to go through the process, to, all the pieces that need to be done. So, I think those are wonderful senior projects at this point. Even though they might be a little late, it's never too late.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Thank you.
So anything else before we move on?
No.
Okay, so let's move on to recommendation 2. So in this recommendation, we're asked to utilize assessment measures throughout high school so that students are aware of how prepared they are for college and assist them in overcoming deficiencies as they are identified. And to carry out that recommendation, they've given us 3 recommendations, which are to identify existing assessment standards and data available to provide an estimate of college readiness, utilize performance data to identify and inform students about their academic proficiency in college readiness, and create an individualized plan for students who are not on track. So our question that we have is, how do students in your school know if they are on track for college? Examples of that are what assessments, data, interest inventories, individualized plans, what kinds of things are we doing for them so that they get a basis of, am I college material, or am I material for that tech college I want to go to, or that vocational program that I want to attend. And I think kids do have those, whether they're vocalized or not, they wonder if they're good enough. And that was my own daughter just last couple weeks ago when she was home. She said to me in her quest for what she wants to do, she goes, what if I'm not good enough? And I think they all think that all the time. So anything we can do to shore them up from that, I think is very important. So, in my school, some of the things that we do, and we've done them so long that our kids know what it's about, is we do map testing. And of course, we all know that carries us through 10th grade. But our kids pretty much know what their previous map test score was. We do it 3 times a year up through 8th grade, and then we do it twice a year when they get into high school. So they know if they're progressing, and they know if they're improving. They know what it means if you slip just a point or two, that's kind of a fluke as the test gets a little bit harder. So they know all that. Of course, we've got the state tests, and we've got the end of course exams, at least at this point. We've got interest surveys that we do, on, what do you want to be when you grow up, basically. And then probably unique to us, I don't know how you guys do it in your schools, but We take 4 half-days in the fall, early in the fall, and then we take another 4 half-days early in the spring. We ask parents if they really want us to do this before, and we get an overwhelming yes, they do, definitely. So we have almost 100% of our parents who come in, but we do actual conferences where we develop an individualized plan in the fall for that year, and that's led by the students. So these are student-led conferences, so they get ready in their class. And we have a form, which if any of you want it, I can certainly share it with you, the form that the kids follow when they put together their student-led conference. But it goes through everything right up into, you know, what are your plans for the future? And we know that those plans mold and change over time. But they do that, and then in the spring we talk about how far did we get down the road with this and what evidence do we have to prove it, so that students actually bring their work to that second one to shore up and prove a little bit about where they are with things and where we need to go next. And we've really been working, you know, in the last couple of years not to just make these something that you just do and you fill out the form, but something that's really meaningful and where the teacher then reports on that throughout the year, and we do grading as well. So that's probably the thing we're most proud of when it comes to kind of being individualizing for our students. So I guess I'm to the point now where I'd love to hear what you guys are doing, because I may pick up on something I better be doing. Michael, you want to go first again?
We do the map testing also, and state tests. I also get it's where are you going? It's from the Workforce Training and Education Coordinating Board, and in it has different careers, jobs. It also has the education and outlook that you know, pertains to that, and I give that to classroom teachers and also give it to individual students. And we have a college preparation checklist that I give to the teachers, and they kind of go through that with their students as well.
What's that checklist look like, Michael?
Actually, it's one that it's from the same place. I ordered them from I'm not even sure where it was now. It's from a it's www.studentaid.ed.gov, and it's just like a little pamphlet, but it has things to do in elementary school, junior high, high school, and then every year in high school, 9th, 10th, 11th, and summer before 12th grade, and then 12th grade, and then adult students, and also the FSA filing time has that in it as well.
Great.
But it has
so that was www.studentaid.gov? Student Aid.
Yeah.
AD.gov. Got it. Okay.
And then for each
grade,
it has like
so I'm take that back and ask our counselors.
For the students to do, and then it has also for the parents to do. So there's checklists for both parents and students for high school.
That's good advice. Eileen, how about you?
Well, I also ordered, I believe he's referring to when he mentioned the Workforce Training Education or Coordinating Board from Washington Career Bridge. I have done that with a few students who I've met with so far as seniors go, but during our summer, I know our administration team's making kind of a list of things to discuss during the summer since, like I said, we all joined mid-year, but that's one of the things we want to work on. And for me, myself, I'd like to see more usefulness. Like once we get feedback from the tests and everything, we're in a school and it's small enough we can do more I think, more individualization with students as far as helping them be ready. But right now, just I'm listening to all the ideas being mentioned, and one of the things we're going to have students do who go to this Heritage Tours take the placement test that they have there, because it can be taken regardless of whether or not you're accepted or not, because it's there to see if you're ready for Heritage. And so once we get those results back, I'm working with the staff over there so that we can give that to teachers here for the outgoing seniors this year, to work with them on those areas where they need more help. But I'm also trying to see what else particular colleges have to assess for their particular school, so we can start working on those here. But like I said, that's one of those things that as an administrative team we're hoping to put together this summer when students and other furloughed staff are out, just to strengthen that part of our school too.
Okay. All right. Anything else before we move on?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Pushing forward. I don't know how we're doing with our time. We're doing good. They're all saying we're doing good. All right. Okay.
Moving forward.
All right. So recommendation number 3. Surround students with adults and peers who build up and support their college-going aspirations. And the recommendations that were given, so next slide. Provide mentoring for students by recent high school graduates who enrolled in college or other college-educated adults. Facilitate student relationship with peers who plan to attend college through a structured program of extracurricular activities. And provide hands-on opportunities for students to explore different careers and assist them in aligning post-secondary plans with their career aspirations. And so our question to think about here is, what approaches are you using to create a college-going culture in your school and community? So again, I'll share a little bit about what we're doing, and then I can hardly wait to hear what you guys are doing. I'm taking notes feverishly on this end as well. So in La Conner, and this was for my birthday present in 2004 from the tribe, I had asked for mentors from the tribe, and so I wanted full-paid, all-day mentors to work in the school for all students grades K through 12. So the first thing they gave me in 2004 is they gave me 5 mentors, and they actually did. The tribal senate called me on my birthday and told me that was my birthday present. So, and they still like to talk about that. I tell them that was the best present I've ever gotten, and I think it really was, because today we now have a mentor that the tribe's paying for at every single grade level. In the high school, we've got mentors that we strategically hired, and these are most of the time tribal members who came out of perhaps other jobs in the tribe, whether it be in the fisheries or in the hospitality industry or maybe in personnel. But we try to hire people, somebody who's good in math, somebody who's good in writing, perhaps somebody who's very good in social study or the arts. And they work right alongside our teachers. The whole idea was that they'll be in the classroom, they can flow in and out, and their contract actually puts them on a little bit longer day, and so once the day is over with in school, they're available for tutorials after. So they've been in school all day long with the kids and seeing what they've got to do, and then they're there to help them put their work together after. So that's been a good thing for us for mentors, and you know, that came out as some of the newfound wealth that our tribe found when the casinos started making money. So if any of you have similar monies that are in your tribes, you know, you might be able to go after something like that. I told you that we have AVID, and so hopefully you're both familiar with that. We also have what's called a High Five program, and that's a class you can sign up for in the high school, and they get training so that they can go down and work with actually younger students. So that's where our older students are mentoring our younger ones. We do have college prep classes. I think our curriculum is pretty much built around that. We take a little bit of hit for that once in a while, that some people think our curriculum is maybe too rigorous, but I think it's proved out pretty well for most of our students. We do have some parents that push that they read that AP is the way to go, advanced placement. we offer at this point 2 advanced placement classes, but I think I told you before we have the dual credit classes. We really strategically decided to go dual credit because what we found is with AP, you've got that one day where you can take the test, and if you don't do very well at the test, you're not necessarily going to get your AP credit then, or you're not going to. And we found, you know, we've got a lot more control where we offer dual credit. So I think if you're not offering dual credit classes with any of your neighboring colleges or universities, I'd encourage you to look into that. A few years ago, we were very fortunate, and we got a state grant to build the new Northwest Career and Technical Academy. It serves 6 of the districts. It was a project that my district took on. We actually got the $24 million grant to build it. So we have 2 sites, one that sits on Skagit Valley College campus and offers everything from culinary arts to technology to vet tech. We've got several programs running there. And then because of the Swinomish tribe's history of working, you know, as a fishing community, even though we know that that's a little bit of a challenged industry, we did put into play a marine tech industry. And so we're looking at not only boat building and boat maintenance, but we're looking technologically out from that in using composite materials. So we've moved from boats to airplanes now. And our students find that to be very interesting, that they go and they may build a bongo board, what I call it, or a surfboard for their first project, and the next thing they're doing is building a part for Boeing, because we do contract through them, and they may be building a part that's going to go on the new airline that's grounded right now. So in any case, that's a wonderful program for our kids that kind of stems out and goes on from that. We have a strong scholarship program. We have a strong foundation in our community. Every kid who applies, and they do have to apply, receives a scholarship, and every Swinomish student who applies receives a $24,000 scholarship to the school of their choice at this point, with the goal of the tribe being a full scholarship to wherever they want to go in the next 10 years. We do college visits. We have past graduates who come back for visitations. The tribe does host a career fair, and we kind of rotate that on an every other year basis. The tribe hosts it one year. We host it at the school the next. And one year it centers on tribal employment, and the next year it centers on other employment possibilities in our region. We also do internships and job shadowing with the tribe. We do a lot of, starting with AVID in the 5th grade. They do research on different colleges, so they each have a college or university that they do research on. And then we found that kind of a capstone for the 5th graders is when we know what college they've selected or been assigned, we work with the college, and they either give us a T-shirt with that college on it, or we get it somehow for them. We get it paid for. And so we give them that at the end, which, you know, it's the little things that really makes them start thinking about when they can wear that college T-shirt home. And then we really moved to trying to get college banners donated to us. And so at graduation, when we've got all the students and they've decided where they're going, their college banners are hanging up at graduation. So those are some of the little things we learned through AVID and through our grant through the Gates on what we could do to kind of propel that whole idea of you can go to college if you want to. So that's what we've been working on. How about the 2 of you? Eileen, we've made Michael go first the last 2 times. How about you?
Okay. Actually, as you were talking, if I had to identify something that needs the most improvement that would help overall, I would say our school needs to improve on a college-going culture. Right now, sports seems to dominate the culture, but goal-wise, and in the meantime, probably setting up, it's scheduled to have booths set up probably this Wednesday, and booth meaning college. Hopefully it'll be a reoccurring thing where, for example, when kids eat lunch, it's in the commons area, and a booth can just be set up there, because we have what's called community time, and that's every Wednesday. Community time means that it's a late start that morning, but from 11 o'clock to 11:25, we invite members of the community to come in to either present on different programs, different different things like that. So it's a good opportunity for colleges, representatives, recruiters to come in, or even just to be on the side, because right after that's lunchtime. And so just it kind of fulfills that that community part of the Native culture too, is to have that in the middle of the week. And most of the students like that. So that's something, like I said, we need to strengthen, but hopefully within time we'll strengthen that. And me and the other counselor are considering throwing around the idea of what's called a college day, or some kind of an event just to kind of make it a fun and maybe a day-long thing where we can put together something about what it's like to be in college, maybe have different activities on maybe just getting along with people, or what it's like to, for example, maybe if you're going away, have a roommate, or what a college classroom is like. And we were playing around with a bunch of different ideas of how we could make that work. But so this is one area that I'm really hoping to hear some ideas just to strengthen that college-going culture here, because I think that's something that's lacking.
Well, I did say that we do college visits, and we have past graduates who visit. So every year we put together a college tour, and for the most part, we take the bus and go on the road for 4 or 5 days. I tend to go with them on that, and so we try to hit the colleges and universities that the students are interested in, which is very interesting to hear what they think about different schools. And for whatever reason, Central has turned into a hotspot for LaConner students. It seems to match what they want to do, but then, like I said here previously, the crabby superintendent decides a few other schools that we're going to go visit too, and the who has them for this is a WSU grad. So we make our way across the state, and they do have an opportunity, in some of those they stay in dorms. Typically when we cross through Spokane, the big thing is to stay at the Davenport Hotel for a night. So it ends up being kind of a reward for hard work, but as you're coming towards the end, when you're choosing a college, but also a fun time to see what might fit for you. So they all do their dog and pony show about their college and what scholarships are available, and it's very interesting to hear the kids' perspective. So anyway.
When they're juniors? Or?
Yeah, we do it when they're juniors. We do that when they're juniors. So. And it stemmed out of AVID. AVID really pushes that you do that with kids. So it's turned into, if for some reason a student doesn't get to go, for maybe they've been sick or, something happened in the family or whatever, I got to tell you, they're upset. And they're looking for a way of trying to catch up with us if they couldn't leave on the day when we left. So it's a big deal. So I tell you to look into that. Take a little trip. It's well worth any of the little miseries you might have along the way.
Okay.
And then Michael.
Well, we have during Native American Week, which is in September, during that entire week, the different classes have different people come in and do different things with the classes depending on their age and stuff. They do some of the crafts and such. They also, the older students, I know, go into the kindergarten classroom and help out in there, both in reading and just helping them with math and stuff too, which is good, because we didn't have that up until a couple years ago. So the older students feel a lot better about themselves when they're doing that.
I know if you want to be a superstar, send the high schoolers down to the kindergarten or elementary. Yeah. Anything else, Michael?
No.
Okay.
I mean,
so,
just things that you guys
are we ready to move to number 4? Okay. Okay. Were we okay on time? Okay, they're all looking at me for time. So, all right, so let's move on to number 4. Recommendation 4, engage and assist students in completing critical steps for college entry. And so the discussion question for us is, in what way does your school help students register for and take SAT, ACT, search for colleges, visit colleges, and complete college applications? And I think we've hit on a few of these, but we'll keep going here. In carrying out that recommendation, I forgot to read that one. Here we go. Ensure students prepare for and take the appropriate college entrance or admission exam early, assist students in their college certs, coordinate college visits, and assist students in completing college applications. So for us, I think I bent your ear forever on AVID, you know, and we start young, like I said, with those college talks and college visits. When you're younger in the 4th or 5th grade, we just pick the school closest to us, which is usually Skagit or Western or Northwest Indian College, and we make a visit. The junior year in college, we try to visit whatever school the students are interested in, and I told you about that before. And also our students do their senior portfolio, and senior presentation revolves around doing the college application, checking into financial aid, talking about what your career aspiration is, and then of course presenting that to a group of their peers along with people from the community who may have worked or probably work in the field that the students are talking about going into. And if we don't have somebody in the tribal community that has done that type of work before, then we make sure that we have a tribal leader there and we reach out to find somebody in that expertise that may not be a tribal member. We found in our case, you know, it's really important, which may be easier for you guys to do since we're a public school, that we've got to have tribal leaders and tribal members sitting on that board just for a comfort's sake for our students. So, and the other piece that we talked about here before you guys came online is in LaConner, we realized that we've got to restructure this, and we've talked about it a bit. So it's a year-long class, their senior seminar, but we've talked about breaking that into a semester in the junior year where they do a lot of the prep work and things, looking at colleges, filling out applications and things, and then finish up in their senior year with another semester. The reason we ended up with the whole thing, just so you're aware, if you wonder how stupid planning comes into things, but when you got seniors, you know, and they're getting itchy feet to leave you, and if you offer just a semester class, you better be offering something very interesting next to it, which I'm not quite sure what that's going to be, or everybody thinks it's a great time to go downtown. So that's the reality of dealing with that. So that's how it ended up being a year-long required class. So as we restructure that, we're going to have to come up with something pretty special, perhaps, that they do that second semester to keep them on campus. So how about you two?
Oh, did I go first again?
Sure. Go ahead.
Okay. This is the one I actually have to say that I don't know as much about. I know that there's a senior project that they do, and I'm still trying to figure. I have a meeting scheduled next week to kind of go over where they're at with that, and I'll find out exactly what that entails. I know the senior project also is a kind of accumulation of everything they've done so far, as far as testing and things like that. And there is a sort of like a speech that they do, and it's in front of actually the whole school, and some other people visiting from the community. But our school is very small though. But yeah, I'll find out more about that this coming week. But so in the meantime, I probably am listening to more ideas, I guess.
Well, the other thing, I told you what our problem has been, so, you know, we're going to be thinking about breaking that apart, and you may want to as well, as, you know, break it up and do some pieces that end up in the portfolio, but that they maybe do earlier in their career.
Yeah.
How about you, Michael?
We don't really do a whole lot in that area because we don't have the high school, the, you know, 10th, 11th, 12th graders. We do get our 9th graders. We take them down to the local high school, which most of them are going to attend, and they go through that and then also register for their classes as well. But they
hey, Michael, just because I'm curious,
What's that?
I said just for my, sorry, just for my curiosity, this is Tim. Can you tell me, so does your school end at what grade?
9th grade.
9th, and then they go?
Well, we have some students that stay in the dorm.
Okay.
That actually, they come up here from Yakima and other parts of Washington and a few from out of state. But most of them are from around this area, the Omak, Nespelem. Some go to Grand Coulee, but we take them all down to Omak and have them go through, you know, what they would do down at the high school.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, the fall.
So how does transition work through that, Michael? Do you kind of pass them over to that, or do you follow them through, or?
Yeah, we have a couple teachers that actually go down there with them. And
so the teachers go, and do they stay with them in the next 3 years?
No.
No. Okay.
No, they you know, we kind of pass them off then to the next school that they're going to.
Interesting. And what do you think about that? Is that successful, or is there something you'd change about that, or?
I'm not real sure yet. I mean, the graduation rate is nothing like what we would like, of course, but so it's kind of, we're working on it and trying to figure out what it is that we could do.
Interesting. Well, I didn't realize, I guess that's news to me that you ended at 9th grade, so, well, I'd love to come visit you sometime and learn more about that. So anything else on recommendation 4? Any questions that either one of you have?
No.
Okay, onward. Did you have one, Eileen?
Oh, no.
Okay. So recommendation 5, increase families' financial awareness and help students apply for financial aid. And to carry that out, we're told that we should organize workshops for parents and students to inform them prior to the 12th grade about college affordability, scholarship and aid sources, and financial aid processes. Help students and their parents complete financial aid forms prior to eligibility deadlines. So our questions are, how does your school help families answer questions about financial aid for college? How do you identify tribal VIE scholarship opportunities? And how does your school help students and families apply for financial aid? So I can briefly tell you what we do. You know, I told you before that we had a really strong scholarship foundation, that everybody gets one that applies for one. I told you about the tribal scholarships and their goal to not just pay the $24,000, which I know sounds huge, but what we've all found is that $6,000 a year doesn't cut it. So the tribe's looking to up that. And then, of course, we talked about their senior seminar and our goals for maybe strengthening that in the previous year. And then on top of that, we do financial aid nights for parents and students. We do more of those, you know, where we help them with the FAFSA, and we run through, you know, what a college application, what that's going to look like. And this is the one where I would recommend, and I guess this is especially for Eileen, you know, where I said lean on your colleges. We do invite colleges to come and help with that night. We usually try to have, you know, at least 1 or 2 state schools that come, and then we try to encourage at least 1 private school. And the reason for that is sometimes the private schools have scholarships or know some little tricks to the trade for filling out the application. And then vice versa, sometimes the public schools are a little bit better at helping, you know, depending on where maybe a student's intending to go. So we tell people they can bring their information and load it in that night if they want, or we kind of get them prepared online to go on and do that, which I know that can kind of be a frightening thing for parents to do that. So that's what we do. How about you guys? Eileen, I guess we'll have to turn to you since I'm not sure that Michael's doing this. He may be.
Well, far as answering questions about financing college, our school is actually fortunate enough to have our tribe's higher ed office just in the portable next to us. But they're actually, yeah, which is really nice, but they're relocating, but they're still there at this moment. So, for example, the other day I just walked down there and got to, was able to receive information really quickly. But once they relocate, then they'll be somewhere else. But up until now, they've been right next door. Then as far as identifying tribal scholarship opportunities, of course, our higher ed, our own tribal scholarship is one that most students are familiar with. But as far as identifying others, that's something that I guess would come from me. I've just being familiar and going through the whole process myself, you know, I just kind of kept a repertoire of other scholarships, but also the colleges that students from this area tend to go to. I know they have their own in-house scholarships that they do, and financial aid offices. That's something I'm hoping to just as far when we reach out to schools is making sure we hit those offices also and staff. As far as applying for financial aid, the first day I was here, actually, we had a FAFSA night, and we didn't have very much attendance, but it was still an opportunity for parents to come out and apply for, or just to learn about the FAFSA and everything like that. And our senior transition class gives them opportunities to fill, or gives them, I guess, time and a teacher there to help them with the FAFSA and go through other college readiness things that they're supposed to have done throughout the year. But also, oh, sorry.
No, it just sounds a lot like what we do. So what else? Sorry.
One thing I want to do this coming summer is also to get a senior timeline ready also, because I think with a lot of vacant positions, there were some opportunities that were missed. So I just want to make sure those are plotted on there too, such as deadlines for just certain things that that passed maybe just a few weeks before I got here, that, you know, just to add on to it, maybe share it with other staff too, and we can plot those all in there so we're all on the same page, and just following that timeline for seniors, and also making sure the high school and beyond plan at the very beginning of the year prepares students for that senior timeline once they're given that. So students, teachers, and staff can all be on the same page, and like I said, also share that with everybody else so they'll be able to add more onto that also, so we don't miss anything.
Mm-hmm. So, Eileen, do you get much chance to go and meet the college or university counselors? I guess you do at probably Heritage and you're close to, but, you know, I don't know where your students are going. But I just, you know, say, you know, lean on your administration to put you on a road trip to go to the universities where your students are maybe headed and meet those people on the other end. Boy, those relationships are great when you get into the mix of finding monies.
Mm-hmm. I think at the end of this month we're scheduled to drive out to Haskell, is from what I understand.
Yeah.
But yeah, we need to add more on those. Just kind of taking advantage of every opportunity. So, but as far as funding goes, that's where it gets a little tricky. But we'll try to squeeze in as much as we can.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
So, Michael, do you have any advice for us or questions on this one?
No, I just I make sure I take the registration forms for college bound into the 8th grade classes and have each student fill it out, and then I call the parents and advise them, you know, that we're filling. Well, actually, I do call them before, and then I have the students fill them out. And then the parents, I mail them to the parents, and then they sign them, and then the students get signed up for that while they're in 8th.
So at the 8th grade, you do what with them?
They sign up for a college-bound.
Oh, college-bound. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's excellent. Okay. All right. Anything else from either one of you?
No.
No.
You know, I think I probably used more time than I was supposed to, so thank you. As usual, I've written down and learned from you two. I've kind of leaned on Steve and asked him if I can't travel with him sometime so I get to meet you. So I look forward to that, and I'm going to turn it over to him.
So first of all, please thank your respective superintendents for for having you participate today. I'm a little disappointed that we didn't get greater participation, and if you want to put a little peer pressure on them, you can ask. First of all, I'd ask if you have any relatives or reason to visit Portland, and if you do, you can sweet talk your superintendent into allowing you to enjoy an all-expense-paid trip to the lab for a forum on April 25th. So I'm going to leave it at that for a moment, but if that sounds alluring at all, talk to your superintendent. There's a meeting of all 9 alliances on the 25th of April where we're going to talk about what does it take to actually benefit from a group like this. And both of your districts have consistently participated in every event we've had, and they need to know that that's really greatly appreciated. One of the things I want to point out is that there's going to be a feedback survey, and since there's just 2 of you, I really, really need a 100% return. Really need. And Mitch has thrown up there on the chat bar, if you can see it, there's a URL to a fairly brief, straightforward survey, and please, please complete that. It's an online survey that won't take you much time at all. We'd also appreciate hearing any feedback now if you'd like. The next steps for this is that we're going to begin planning a series of site visits to each of the schools to get a better handle on what sorts of challenges are they approaching that we might be able to provide some evidence or best practice around to help you out, or to better utilize some of the resources and capitalize on some of the opportunities that you may have. So for example, we might want to talk to Mitch about how might we try to create some form of follow-up to the 3 high schools to get a sense of how your students are doing, and therefore how Pascal Sherman might better be able to help prepare them. So that might be one. In Yakima, we might want to talk about how do we promote even closer continuous relationships with the rich higher ed resource you have around you with Yakima Valley Heritage, and apparently Eastern was building a satellite site out there, as well as Wazoo and some of the others, so that with the help of some tribal leadership, we really instill this idea that for at least some of the students, college really is the future of that tribe and that community. So there's lots of things we can talk about, and those visits will be this spring and as well as next fall. Finally, thirdly, we're going to be shifting our focus next year, if we can continue this effort, to career readiness as opposed to college readiness. And that's probably the least understood area where there's the least amount of research information available. So we're going to go to the Office of Vocational Adult Education as well as the U.S. Department of Labor to look at what do they know about really high schools and middle schools being able to prepare students to be career ready, workforce ready. And I was pleased to hear that both of you, for example, are using that Workforce Council inventory to help identify students' interests, because it already gets them thinking about where am I going and what's part of me going to be in life. It's we're preparing kids for the future. We're not just preparing kids for college or whatever. This is a lifelong trajectory that they're going to be taking. So, and finally, Mitch, you're the first person who I've ever heard that said it was great to go to Pascal Sherman because it was a shorter commute. but if, Michael, I'm sorry, but if you had to drive clear in the Spelem, I understand. So, any comments or suggestions about about the webinar?
Well, I found it really helpful just being new to the position, so I actually appreciated it being just a few of us, so it could be more one-on-one, but that's just me. Oh, I was also going to ask how to get to the survey, but...
Can you see the chat bar next to your next to the PowerPoint or not?
Yeah, it's right between participants and notes.
Yeah.
Okay, I've clicked on that, and...
Do you see a big long URL?
No.
Okay.
No, I don't either.
Okay, I'll try and send it again. 1 second.
Okay.
Okay, well, let's see, do we have Eileen's
Yes, I do.
email?
I'm through surveys in there.
No. All right, stand by. We're going to get that. We're going to resend that via individual email.
Okay, and does that need to be completed by tonight, or can it be completed first thing in the morning?
First thing in the morning would be fine. That would be great. We actually provide a little more time, but the sooner the better, particularly since there's a small number of folks.
Okay.
Do you see it, Michael, on yours or not?
Okay, yeah, I see it now.
I just got mine too.
Okay. So, excellent. So I hope this was beneficial. It was certainly informative for us, and you need to share with the other folks that you work with in the other schools how useful this really was and how much they missed out.
Okay.
However, this is taped, so that it will be available for the other schools, as well as your own staff if you'd like to use the podcast.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right, and with that, we actually are ending 1 minute over, which is
Sorry, 10 late.
pretty awesome. Again, thank you both. We really, really appreciate it, and don't forget to use our Ask REL service as well. They're good folks.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Talking with the two of you.
You bet. Have a good evening.
You too.
Thanks, you too.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye.